इसको थोड़ा नीचे करने दीजिए, मे भी उससे नहीं गिरेगा.
Good afternoon, guys. Right now we are live on from Canberra. We have our correspondent there, Pallavi Jain, who she'll be joining soon. We have Amit Sarwal, our editor. Amit, how do you see the press conference between Dr. Jaishankar and Penny Wong, Foreign Minister of Australia?
Hi, Jay. I think that the presser went on really well. I think everyone asked the right questions, and I think we'll be looking forward to a kind of one-to-one community meet with Dr. Jaishankar, and then he would be better able to explain what India is looking forward to in the coming years, especially 2023, because 2022 has been really productive. Between Australia and India. I think what Scott Morrison and even before him, Tony Abbott started, Albanese looks like he's going to follow up with almost all the important pacts that were signed earlier.
Amit, I'll stop you right there. Pallavi is with us right now. Pallavi, what was the crux of the meeting, and what did you understand by the press conference from Penny Wong and Jaishankar as well?
Jay, it was very clear from the press conference that both India and Australia consider each other very close partners. Senator Wong, in fact, mentioned that India is a critical partner for Australia. Even Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar went on to reiterate that they had talks on a range of issues, including defense, trade, economics. He also stressed on education that India is hoping that that Australian universities and Australia will get involved in the Indian education sector in India. There was also talk about the Ukraine conflict, but once again, Dr. S. Jaishankar reiterated that the...
You can simply hold it. Don't worry, you can simply hold it like this, Pallavi.
Okay, you edit this later, okay?
Yeah.
You edit
we
this.
Understand. Yeah. See,
okay.
One more very
Dr.
important...
Dr. Jaishankar reiterated that the Quad, because some questions were raised with regards to the effect of the Russian war, the Russian aggression in Ukraine on the Quad, but Dr. S. Jaishankar reiterated that the Quad was a framework for the Indo-Pacific, but overall it was very clear that there is a great friendship and a great relationship there.
Dr. Jaishankar meant business. He was just talking about if USA, if Middle East and other countries can really do business and take advantage of the growth in India, why can't Australia? So is it a kind of a message to business community in Australia that please come and join the party in India?
He did not specifically mention things like that, but it is very clear, given the number of ministers that have come to Australia in the past several months. We've had, I think, 6 cabinet level ministers come here. So it's very clear that India is seeking more engagement from Australia in the economic and trade front. And in fact, it was said during the presser that the ECTA agreement, the trade agreement between India and Australia is likely to be ratified soon. So all of those things were talked about. But I think the takeaway from the presser was that the India-Australia relationship is a multifaceted relationship covering the economic as well as the strategic interests of both the countries.
Amit, if you do have any question for Pallavi.
Yeah, I have a question regarding our exclusive story that we broke earlier regarding Khalistani elements' presence in Australia. Were there any questions raised from the media regarding that exclusive story that we broke?
There wasn't a question with regards to that issue in Australia. Someone did raise a question about that issue being in Canada, and then the Indian government had issued an advisory, advising Indians not to travel to Canada, and then Canada responded to that as well. And there was a reference to the referendum, which is so-called referendum, which is being held in Canada. So that issue did come up, but there was no reference to the story that we broke, or neither ministers brought up the issue of that here in Australia. But the issue did come up in reference to another country.
Okay. Thank you.
My question to both of you is, where from here? I mean, is India and Australia talking business more, or they are worried about, because Dr. Jaishankar mentioned about counter-terrorism measures and collaboration with Australia, possible collaboration, I should say. So, where are we standing on those lines?
Jay, I think given that, as Dr. Jaishankar said, that we are liberal democracies, both India and Australia, so I think there are a lot of overlapping interests here as well. And I think that one cannot compartmentalize. I think all those relationships are very important for both the countries, especially given the developments in the Indo-Pacific. So I think the strategic and the economic go together. And I think the relationship, as we know, is still quite nascent. And I think with so many exchanges at the ministerial levels and also people to people contact, I think there is a aspiration that there'll be growth in all the sectors. For instance, I think Minister Piyush Goyal had said that they hope that the bilateral trade between the two countries, could potentially reach 50 billion in a couple of years. So there is an economic relationship, there's a strategic relationship. I think one cannot say one is more important than the other, but I think there's an overlap of interest. And as we hear this very often from both sides, that there's a convergence of interests as far as Australia and India are concerned.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pallavi, for joining with us. I would request all our viewers, listeners, please do follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
You.